I'm Spade Robinson, and this is Storyteller Therapy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we've made it all the way to episode 11. It's like time just flew by, and I'm having so much fun talking to you about storytelling and screenwriting and documentary filmmaking and also all of our feelings. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into episode 11 where we talk about how to write a beat sheet. So the perfect thing about this episode is that it comes directly out of episode 10 that talks about how to write an outline. And if you have an outline, you are already halfway there to writing your beat sheet because that is what it comes from. It's like mother and child or noodles and macaroni or something like that. Anyway, before we jump into that, I want to check in with you on what you guys have been watching. I hope you guys have been doing a lot better than I have, or been watching a lot better things than I have. I've been so disappointed lately. Like, I've gone to the movies a lot, or at least a lot for me, and I've been like, I don't love this. And it's not that I only want to talk about films that I love, but I only want to talk about films in a way that is useful or beneficial. And I feel like saying, oh, this film was mediocre for no particular reason, it just wasn't great. Well, there's always a reason, but feel useful. And then I was on Netflix the other night and I saw a film that I saw at Sundance 2015, I want to say. And I absolutely loved it when I saw it, and I absolutely loved it when I saw it again. It's a film called Songs My Brother Taught Me. It's directed by filmmaker Chloe Zhao, who I met at the festival, and she is just so smart and articulate and such a beautiful filmmaker and just an emotionally present person. I can't wait to see what she's doing next. Here's what I love about the film. So the film is about life on the res. And I feel that so many films about life on the res are all about the same thing. This one is so beautifully shot and told. It's about a brother and a sister coming of age, doing their life on the res and sort of navigating their way through love and siblinghood, and coming to an understanding about their future. Is a very tender and sensitive and respectfully told story that I think is one of the best ways that I've seen disappointment be painted on picture in film. It has a lot of themes, but specifically, if you were to watch it, I would go back and point out the scenes or the sequences in which disappointment comes through and how it's depicted, how it's written, how quiet it is, how it creates our sort of coming of age or it creates a coming of age for people in the story, and out of that, who we're able to become. I always enjoy when a film is specific and universal in ways that are full. So it's fully specific about these kids growing up on the res. It is fully universal about coming of age and understanding love and heartbreak and possibilities. And they don't negate each other. Powerful movie. It's on Netflix, which means you have no excuse. So go watch it. I write beat sheets in a very specific way, and I have my clients write beat sheets in a very specific way. The purpose of the beat sheet is to go directly into pages. The way that I have it designed is so there is literally no excuse why you're not going directly into pages. Like, you can go into pages tomorrow, you can go into pages tonight, you can go into pages the second you finish. That is why it's structured this way. So let me explain how it's structured. You take your outline that we went over last episode, and if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that and then come back to this. So you take your outline and you write out every scene in your movie from beginning to end based on your outline. So for example, you have Act 1 from your outline. Your first Roman numeral in Act 1 is going to be status quo. So what you're going to do is write out every scene in your status quo that happens from your status quo to your inciting incident. And you're going to write it in screenwriting format. Now, you're not going to write the full scene. You're just going to write what happens, who's involved, what are the emotional beats of the scene. So for example, so you're going to take it out of outline format. So you have, Act 1. Then you have the very first scene of your movie. Interior, Kara's bedroom, night. Then you write, Kara sits at her desk and blah, 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 whatever she does, next scene. So as opposed to events, where it's just a one sentence that says what happens, Mimi dies, you are going into screenwriting format, which is to say you have a scene description, exterior, parking lot, night. Michael pulls up in his truck. He gets out of his truck, goes into the store. Then you go to the next scene. Every scene that goes all the way up into the next Roman numeral in your outline. So you're going to write every scene from your status quo all the way up to your inciting incident. Once you get to your inciting incident, it's like, what is your inciting incident? You're going to write that in screenwriting format. And then next, you're going to write everything from your inciting incident to the next Roman numeral in your outline. In between there, it's going to be the scene heading, what happens in the scene. It should be a sentence or two. And then you go to the next scene heading and what happens in that next scene. By the time you get to the end of your beat sheet, you would have written down every single scene in your movie. The key to the beat sheet is not that you've written it out. It's going to be in the revisions. So then you can go into pages and those pages are compelling and not a hot mess, right? So once you've done the first draft of your beat sheet, then you're going to go back and revise. The first thing you want to revise is to look back at your status quo and make sure that you have a character introduction scene, which we're going to meet our character somewhere between the status quo and the inciting incident. But we want to make sure that it's a strong enough scene to introduce our character. What should be in your character introduction should be something that is revealed about the character. Perhaps the character is alone. I always like a character introduction where the character is alone and you sort of see them in a way that you're probably not going to see them through the rest of the film. Or the character is interacting with another character or the world in a way that really reveals something about who they are that we as an audience need to know before the inciting incident happens. The inciting incident is something that jumpstarts the movie, which means their world is turned upside down in some kind of way, or something shifts in their lives or the lives of your character. And so in order for us to know as an audience how important that event is in their lives and why it's jumpstarting the drama of the movie, you introduce them in a way where we understand them. And we're like, oh, yes, I get that. The next thing you want to do is fact checking. So when you're actually writing in your pages, it can really slow the process down when you have to go back and say, did that really happen in World War II? Is that real? Is that really protocol for the police or whatever? Is that really a law? So you want to do that in your beat sheet so that when you start writing your pages, you can just go. So you want to go through your beat sheet and see if there's anything that you sort of wrote in your story that you need to clarify, and just go do that research and then come back and change. The next thing you want to do is rules of the world. So especially if you have some kind of genre, horror, ghost, thriller, aliens, sci-fi, if you have some otherworldly type of story in your script, then you want a consistent depiction of the rules of the world that you created. You made it up. It came from your brain. It can be whatever you want it to be. But you do want it to be consistent throughout the script. So you need to take some time and figure out, what are the rules of this world? Oh, people don't talk in this world. People see ghosts, or they go from one room to another without having to walk through a door. Or in the rules of this world, it's martial law. Or the rules of this world, whatever you decide the rules of the world are, is your right. But then you want to go back through your beat sheet and say, okay, with the scenes that I have, are they consistent with the world that I've created? The next thing you want to do is go through character development. So character development is something that in my workbooks, I take you through deep character development. But you want to make sure that that's sort of done before you start writing pages, because what happens is we really get attached to our pages, and we really get attached to a scene, or the way that something is written, or the way that, the waterfall of a sequence happens. And when you take stuff out, you sort of unravel the thread of what you created. So the best thing to do is do your character development now. Go back and decide, what do these characters want? What are their needs? How do they interact with each other? What's most important to them? What's their backstory? What's their past? What are their hopes and dreams, desires, blah, blah, all of that. You want to sort of have that decided, at least for your main characters, at least, but hopefully for more than that, so that once you go into your pages, you know these people super well. So if you haven't done that already, you want to do that at your beat sheet phase so that when you go into your pages, it's not something you have to worry about. And literally, that's it. Writing your beat sheet is not very complicated, but it can be time consuming because you are writing every scene in your movie. I think of beat sheets as sort of the vegetables of screenwriting. You just have to do it. In order to make it more interesting and make it fun, you want to be as creative in those descriptions of what happens in the scenes as possible. Because the more you are writing in screenwriting format, you're not just jotting down what happens, but you're writing with the descriptions that are colorful and all of that, the more ready and geared up you are going to be to go to pages, and the more interesting and fruitful I think the beat sheet experience will be. If you have any questions about writing a beat sheet, you always know that you can get in contact with me. I have information about how to get in contact with me in the show notes, so feel free to do that. And for your homework, I'm sure you can guess what that is. Write your beat sheet. All right, I'll see you next week.